Okay.
Oh,
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to this workshop that we do every Sunday. My name is Sally, for those who don't already know that. I am here today to give you a workshop on voice feminization, masculinization, and androgynization. So I do hope to help you today learn a little bit more about the theory that goes behind all of this and, help you get the voice that you desire to get. All right, so let's talk a little bit about safety and vocal health first and foremost. First of all, when you are going to use your voice, you want to make sure to drink plenty of water. Hydrating is paramount and not optional, right? This is really important because when you use your voice, you use like little flaps of flesh that vibrate really quickly, really fast. Now, these little flaps of flesh, we call them vocal cords or vocal folds. And what's important with them is that they need hydration. They need to have some layer of mucus to kind of lubricate them so that they can vibrate properly and create the voice that we all use in day-to-day life. So if you do not drink the water, you're gonna have like those rubbing against each other, and it's gonna be dry and there's gonna be friction, and that can create a lot of vocal complications, notably nodules, which are like little bumps on the vocal folds. Those are really hard to get out, sometimes needing surgery. So please, if you are going to use your voice, try to avoid going in completely dehydrated. Now, another thing I need to mention is certain medications might indicate that they can be somewhat dehydrating to the body. So be sure to try and work around those. No. You take the medication that you need to take, okay? If it's Spiro or any other medication, because that's definitely not the only one that can do that, you want to take it. But maybe don't take the medication and work on your voice right after. Maybe try to work on your voice before taking that medication or a few hours afterwards, and be sure to drink plenty of water. The minimum rule of time is drink 15 minutes before doing any voice practice. That is because when you drink the water doesn't directly touch the vocal folds. Dehydration is not by contact, but rather through the blood flow. And so this brings me into the second part of warming up your voice, which is if you want to warm up your voice, you also want, to warm it up. So it's not just the water, it's also setting the vocal folds gently in motion so that they can vibrate slowly and gently. This will basically provide the blood flow necessary to the vocal folds, giving them not only the water and hydration they need, but also the nutrients and everything else that needs to be happening for the voice, okay? Now that this is out of the way, of course, smoking and drinking or coffee are also things that can dehydrate your voice, okay? At the end of the day, body autonomy reigns supreme, so you do what you want with your body. But please do try to avoid those behaviors when you're practicing or before practicing, okay? Now that this is said, let's talk a little bit about how voice functions. What is voice exactly? Well, simply put, we like to use the PSF model. PSF stands for what? Power for P, S for source, and F for filter, okay? Now, when you use your lungs, you push air out, that's the power. It will then move up the trachea, this tube between the larynx and the lungs, and then it reaches the larynx. Now, you can find the larynx behind the Adam's apple, the little bump on your neck, okay? Now, some of you might not have had as much testosterone exposure as I have or as some other indie audience have. Now, that bump might not feel like it's there, but it is there. We all physically have a larynx. Otherwise, we just can't speak, okay? Well, there's certain ways to speak without a larynx, but that's a bit obscure. Now, once the air reaches the larynx, that's where the vocal folds are, and so they're going to be set in motion. The voice is going to start happening. The flaps are going to vibrate, creating the source sound. And then the most interesting part happens next. Once the vocal folds vibrate, they create a sound that bounces up and around in this filter. This is the resonant chamber, and this is where you might have heard the buzzword resonance, okay? So what is resonance? Well, it refers to what harmonics in your voice, what frequencies, if you will, in your voice are emphasized.
if you have a really big vocal tract, then the lower resonance, or rather the lower frequencies, are going to be amplified. But if you have a
Smaller vocal tract size, a smaller space, a smaller filter, then you're going to have a much brighter voice. And this is pretty much what you want to be looking into. If you want to change how your voice sounds, you have to make the filter space bigger or smaller if you're looking to do a different gender or voice acting, really. So this is the main thing that we have to talk about. Now, another thing to take into account here is testosterone, right? Because I'm not here to put you in the little box of this is a feminine voice and you have to be exactly there, and this is a masculine voice and you have to be exactly there. That's not true. But there's one physical thing that social norms and expectations do not change, and that is testosterone exposure. Right? Some of us think testosterone is a poison. I think it's the opportunity for a lot of fun with the voice. Now, very simply put, we have two types of vocal tracts. One that is very testosterone affected and one that is non-affected by testosterone. Now, we all have some amounts of testosterone in our body, but those who are born with typically XY chromosomes might have more. Again, if you're intersex and, really genetics kind of play a trick on us sometimes, so it's not exactly true for everyone, okay? But what is true is that in some cases, testosterone affects the vocal tract heavily. So let's talk about how it affects it. Well, testosterone does three main things to your voice. First of all, it makes the vocal tract much bigger. So you see here this is really small, and here it's really big. So it makes the vocal tract bigger. Ow!
Okay, so it gives a very hollow voice, right? Like it's a very big space. Now, the second thing that testosterone does to your voice is that it makes the vocal folds vibrate slower and makes them longer, which results into a now hollow and lower pitched voice. And then the third thing that testosterone does is that it makes the vocal folds a lot thicker, which results into like a really boomy masculine voice. And if we want to do exactly
The opposite, we want to revert all of those three changes. That is in the case of voice feminization. In the case of voice masculinization, you will want to go the entire other way around. So typically take your voice and do just what I did, make it darker, reach for a lower pitch, and try to be a bit more boomy, okay? Have a bit more vocal fold mass. All right, now that this is said and out of the way, let's talk again about the warm-up. How much time we got left? Okay, we got about 1 minute. So we'll do a really quick one, just so that you have an idea of what those warm-ups are. So those warm-ups are not here to be done perfectly. It doesn't matter if you do right? If your voice is just going and being all silly and weird sounding, it's fine. We're just trying to warm up the voice. So here are some suggestions to warm up your voice. You can do a Z sound or a V sound or a J sound. Something like zzz, or a V sound as in voice. Right? The idea behind those exercises is that we put some kind of occlusion. We kind of close the mouth a little bit more, and this allows the voice to create a counter pressure to the lungs. This is the very, very dumbed down version of what it really technically is, but all you need to know is that doing gentle slides and gentle scales all across your range is a good way to warm up. You can do something like an O sound, like as in oak, right? We can try this together, actually. So for this, you can unmute yourselves. I will do it first and then count to 3, and you can do it after me. Okay? So I go first. Oh. And you try it in 1, 2, 3. Oh. And back down low. All right, very good. Good job. Now, this is one type of warm-up. We can try this with a Z sound, as in, I don't know, like a zoo. Okay? So let's try this. And you go in 3, 2, 1. Back down. Great. Very good. Good job. So now you can mute yourselves again. At least I recommend this if you want to follow along. The people who will come up on stage, if you want to practice on your own, be my guests. It's what this workshop is all here for. So now, for those who don't already know, what I do here is I take two people up on stage who want to masculinize their voices, and two people up on stage who want to feminize their voices. Okay? So, as per usual, I'll have up on stage someone who wants to masculinize their voice,
Who wants to sound like a hyper child?
who wants to make their voice,
Really masculine.
yeah? Anyone interested? Raise your hand or jump in place or use, I see someone here in the back. I think it's No Face Array. Yeah? Come up on stage. Come on, come on. The stairs are left or right, wherever you want to go. All right, you've chosen your direction. All right, applause to No Face Ray. Hello.
Hooray! Clap, 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 clap.
All right, welcome. I do need to do something first with you. Can you please go to your sound settings, then go into noise reduction, make sure that is disabled. And once you've done that, the mic activation threshold, please put it all the way to the left to 0%.
Okay.
All set? Yeah? Okay, awesome.
You're probably
Can you
gonna
give me
hear
a
my
very...
AC.
I don't hear it. We don't, so it's fine. Can you give me a very gentle whisper, like, hello?
Hello.
Awesome. All right. So now we'll have about 10 minutes starting from, I have not prepared the timer. Okay. Where is my timer? Okay, 10 minutes starting now. All right. So welcome. No Face or Ray. What do I call you?
Ray works.
Ray works. All right, welcome. You've been brave enough to come up on stage, so I hope to help you with your voice journey. What is it that you want to do here? Masculinize your voice? Androgynize it? Is it for voice acting or just in general for fun? Like,
Well, I consider myself gender fluid, and I like being able to manipulate my voice. I am able to go into a higher register, but I've always wanted to be able to learn how to lower my register too.
okay, awesome. I don't need to know anymore. Gender fluid is perfectly valid, and anyone here is welcome to work on their voices. So, let's get started. As you might have heard before, if you've been here from the start, we want to revert the effects of we want to mimic the effects of testosterone to get your voice to be more masculine. So, of course, I am cheating because, I have been blessed or poisoned by testosterone, with however you look at it. Now, for me, it's really easy. But, again, we're not all equal to how voice functions and is affected. So let's see what your current range can do. Okay? So how about you give me a slide from your highest to your lowest pitch?
Oh.
Give it a try. I think you went down to around the D3, which is pretty damn low, and then even down to maybe C3, I think, something like that. So it's pretty low, and this is very encouraging with, the goal of getting a more masculine voice. Now, let's see, how low can you comfortably speak at? Like, let's say we say the sentence, pat that cat, I know you can go down to around here pretty easily. Can you try and match my pitch here? Okay, you're here. Let's go down together. Okay. Good. Here we are on E3. Very good. Oh. Okay, so you went back up again. Oh, okay. So it's fine. Going for the lowest pitch might not be easy at first, but it's fine. How about I let you do this yourself? I want you to use that pitch here. Ooh. And you just say pat that cat monotonously like a robot. Like pat that cat. And then once you've done that, you go one tone lower. Pat that cat. Ah. Pat that cat. Ah. Pat that cat. Can you try this out?
Pat that cat. Pat that cat. Pat that cat.
Ooh, that cat. Okay, D sharp 3, pretty good. Do you feel like you could go any lower than that, or is that like kind of like your limit for now?
I'm not sure.
Oh, I mean, like that's fine. You don't know like your range generally, like what your pitch range is. I mean, not on top of your head, you know,
Not,
but
not really. I haven't really had any vocal lessons. I took chorus in high school. I know I'm an alto. That's about it.
okay, that's actually pretty low. Okay. Oh, all right. So, anyways, now we add the next component. What we've done so far is try to go for the lower pitch. So we made the vocal folds vibrate slower and effectively make them vibrate in a longer pattern. Now, what I want to do is make it so that you also benefit from having a much bigger vocal tract size. As you've done before, you've done oh, which kind of sounds like this, but it could sound like oh,
Like this instead.
so we can try and make that space much bigger. So how do we do this? Well, again, we've pat that cat, but this time we go to a whisper. Can you say pat that cat?
Pat cat.
Very good. Now here in this whisper, we can all hear that pat that cat is a more feminine leaning whisper. Now our goal will be to go towards a more masculine leaning whisper, something that's a lot darker, something like pat pat.
But that cat really dark.
Give that a try.
Pat that cat.
Okay, now try to do like a whole gradient. See how there's a big change. Maybe you can feel the change and see it happen. Pat, pat, pat.
But
Give it a try.
Pat.
Okay, so you went from pat, slowly down to here. Pat that cat. Can you do that dark whisper again? Pat that cat.
Pat that cat.
Awesome. Now you have pat that cat, which is magnitudes darker than pat that cat, right? So you've effectively made the vocal tract a lot bigger, meaning that then you have thus a much darker sound. But for now, it's just a whisper. It's not really a full voice. So how do we get there? Well, I like to use a little thing called bridging. So what's bridging? Well, it's just a term I coined. Well, I don't know. Oh yeah, closure gradient. Okay, so the closure gradient is like a gradient that can go from really open vocal folds to really closed vocal folds. Okay? When we do a whisper, pat that cat, we're only whispering. Okay? So as we only whisper, the vocal folds are not present. They're not vibrating to create the voice that you usually use, right? So we want to go from the whisper voice into a balanced voice. But here's the trick. Between a whispery voice and a balanced voice is a breathy voice. Now, a breathy voice sounds like this, right? It's kind of like you're out of breath, which, funnily enough, it's when you have too much breath, you know? And it's that mix between ah and ha together. Ah creates that breathy sound, right? And what's important about it? Well, you can hear the resonance in the whisper. Pat that cat is bright and feminine. And
pat that cat
is dark and masculine. But the whisper is the tell. So if you can do the closure gradient properly, from the whisper into breathy into balanced, you can hear every step of your resonance staying dark or maybe trailing back up to a brighter sound. So we can try something like this.
But that cat. There we go. And now like a dark, balanced voice that's really dark.
Right? Now I did that at a high pitch, but you can try this at a different pitch and see how it goes for you. So let's give this a try. First, let's go back to the dark pat that cat. So give me a bright pat. Pat that cat. Pat that cat. And now let's go for the dark one.
But that cat.
But that cat.
Nice. From pat that to
But that.
awesome. Just give me a sec. I think I have a sneeze coming. Oh, it's not coming? Okay. I hate this moment. It's fine. Okay. You know when the sneeze doesn't come, it's horrible. Okay. So now let's get back to this. So you give me that dark pat, that cat. This time I want you to hold that dark ah sound. So
But that cat.
try to hold that a little bit.
But that cat.
Nice. Now you have a really dark ah. Let's bridge this into a balanced sound.
But that cat.
Give it a try.
Pat that cat.
Okay, interesting. So from here, oh, the alarm's already sounding. Really? It's been a second. Okay, so here you've done
But that cat.
right now compared to how you would have normally said it at the same pitch. Pat that cat. Can you say that?
Pet that cat.
Right. So pat that cat versus.
But that cat.
Try to do them back and forth if you can.
Pat that cat. Pat that cat.
Okay, so pat that cat to
But that cat.
so it's not as dark as you've shown me before, but it's definitely getting darker there. Okay? So now the whole point would be to like make sure that here this was a G3, so it's pretty high in terms of pitches. G3 is here. So like the best you could have done is
But that cat. Like kind of like giving like a choir kind of voice, like an operatic type of voice, right?
which might not be exactly what you're looking for when you want to like do a masculine voice, but given what you've shown me before with your pitch, you can go all the way down to D#3 and maybe even below with some practice. What I do recommend you do is that you become more aware of your pitch range. So I can recommend these on the board. These are different apps that allow you to monitor what your pitch is at. Now, I recommend that you use any of these. My favorite one is Vocal Pitch Monitor, but you know, I'm a biased teacher, of course. But the whole idea behind this is that using those pitch monitors allows you to see where your range is at and allows you to practice with the pitch that you want to aim towards. So try to like get good and get consistent with those lower pitches and then do the same bridging method with that darker sound, right? To get a more masculine sound. Okay? All right. Well, thank you, Ray, for coming on stage. Applause, applause. Okay, so next up, I don't want to take too much time. All right, so next up, I'll have up on stage someone who wants to learn to feminize their voices. Please raise your hand or jump in place if you're interested. There's always too many people. Okay, Ganguti, have you already been on stage before?
No.
Nope. Okay, come up. Come on. Applause to Ganguti. Welcome. I have very bad eyesight, so you're more likely to get on stage if you're closer. Just a tip. Okay, I'm gonna see. Oh God. Oh no. What have I done? Okay, Ganguti. Hello. Hi. Sorry. Hi. Welcome. My ADHD is kicking again. So, all right, let's get started. 10 minutes starting from now. All right, so Ganguti, same as before, I want you to change your settings, audio settings. Make sure that your mic, your noise reduction is turned off, and that the mic activation threshold is all the way to 0%. Okay?
Okay, done.
Okay. Can you give me a gentle whisper like, hello?
Hello.
Awesome. All right, let's get started. So, Ganguti, first time here ever? Do you know a little bit of the theory or completely lost here?
I've done some voice training in the past, but
Okay.
not so much. Like just like a couple months.
Okay. Well, that's awesome. So, do you already have like a voice in progress? I assume you want to go for a more feminine voice. So, do you already have like a voice that you've practiced before, or not really?
Yeah, it should be something like this.
Okay, that's really promising. Yeah, it should be something like this. Okay, good. I kind of want to test what your voice, where your voice is at. So let's see. I'll get us some sentences to practice with. All right, awesome. Can you see the board?
Yeah.
Awesome. So now let's try this out. I want you to read with that thin voice you've shown me, that very first sentence. That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
Okay, that's very good. Nice. Okay, you already have a femme voice. Next one.
The crowbar opened the subpar car.
That's very good. Careful there, maybe at the end there's a hint of masculinization in your voice. The crowbar opened the subpar car. Car. It's very quick, more like car. So it's very subtle, but at the end of the sentence you're dropping the resonance a little bit. You're going a bit darker. Do you want to give it another try?
The crowbar opened the subpar car.
Okay, that's much better. The crowbar opened the subpar car. Okay, very bright. Awesome. How about the next sentence? The store doors creaked more on the fourth floor.
The store doors creaked more on the fourth floor.
Okay, very good. The store doors creaked more on the fourth floor. Okay, how about the next one?
The new you is no taboo. You grew, it's true.
Okay, the you is no taboo. You grew, it's true. Maybe here at the end of the sentence is still going a bit darker here. So there's something here to take into consideration. Why do you go darker? Is it because it's the end of the sentence and your voice is relaxing back to like a more masculine sound? Or is it because I don't know, like maybe it's the vowel triggering it? I mean, you said the new you is sounded fine and you grew was also fine. So it's probably not the vowel sound. So maybe it's the pitch, you know?
I notice this due to the intonation, because I tend to end
Yes,
like on a lower pitch, and that makes me drop it a bit, I think.
right? Um, hmm. Okay. So right now you're speaking like da 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 da. It's like kind of like around this range. Now this range is da 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 da. It's like you're kind of like around G3, A3. So it's like pretty much in the medium high end of like what you would hear in a femme voice. Have you already tried doing like a lower pitched femme voice? You know, not that mad brat sat on that flat mat, but then said something like, that mad brat sat on that flat mat.
Should I read the first one?
Sorry, my bad. I was asking this as a question. Have you already tried to feminize your voice at lower pitches
No,
before?
I haven't. When
Okay.
I try to go to a lower pitch, like the resonance drops too.
Okay. Have you already tried to feminize those lower pitches? Because they can very much be part of your range.
No, I haven't.
Okay, so I think this is what we would want to do here today. So let's go to a lower pitch together. Let's say pat that cat. So pat that cat.
Pat that cat.
Of course, no problem here. Da da da. A sharp 3. Let's go lower in pitch. Da 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 da. Down to G3. Pat that cat.
Pat that cat.
Still sounding fine. Let's go a bit lower. Pa, 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 pa. Down to E3. Pat that cat.
Pat that cat.
Now it starts to drop a little bit. You notice it too. Pat that cat. So what's interesting here is that your first pat was a bit darker and you're kind of like caught back up and kind of like went brighter. So where the voice would start to break. So let's try and make that E3 them really bright. So same strategy as before, except where it is, we want to take the pat cat on a whisker and make them go later. Kind of pats. From there, we want to go into this pitch, E3, okay? So let's first find this pitch. Doesn't matter resonance-wise, just Okay, you actually kind of already are doing right. Okay, good. All right. And then from there, you want to go from that bright pat that cat into that pitch, kind of like this. Pat that cat. Pat that cat. Give it a try.
Pat that cat. Pat that cat.
Okay, very good. Now, can you read the sentence? Pat that cat, that mad brat sat on that flat mat.
Pat that cat. That mad brat sat on the flat mat.
Awesome! Sounds great, right? That mad brat sat on that flat mat. Okay, sure, it sounds like beep boop robot, but I mean, the pitch and the quality of it, really bright, really soft, what I would expect to hear in a feminine voice. Now, let's go a bit lower, because you might want to intonate even lower in pitch. Who knows? Da da da. Let's go for a D sharp 3. And let's try to say, that mad brat sat on that flat mat. Give it a try.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
Okay, that's already pretty good. That mad brat sat on that flat mat. But maybe it sounds a little bit too thick by a bit. Like, that mad brat sat on that flat mat. It's not as bad as that mad brat. So you're fine, but it could maybe be a little bit softer. That mad brat sat on that flat mat. So you can try and push your voice less. Maybe think of it like when you're using your voice, you push air, right? That's how the vocal folds can vibrate. Now, if you push, you're going to get, if you push, you're going to get a much quieter and softer voice, right? So what you would want to do here is, that mad brat sat on that flat mat. Try to go a bit softer on that voice. Give it a try.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
Okay, very good. Problem, we went back to E3, I didn't notice, so let's go back down. Down to here, D sharp 3. Match my pitch. Okay, see? You did go a bit darker here. So let's try and do it again. Trying to stay bright. Okay, that's pretty convincing. So then from here, that mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That mad brat sat on that flat
You went back up to E3. Okay, I know it's a very small jump, you know. It's not as big as so I mean, I guess it's difficult to hear that you're kind of climbing back up in pitch. So this is where I kind of recommend to like have like a pitch monitoring software under your eyes here. If we can, it's fine. But just know that like, yeah, your voice keeps shooting back up. So, all things considered, you already have a very, very good starting point for a fem voice. If not, I dare say a fem voice, period, as long as you stay at higher pitches. Now, as you might have heard when we read some of the sentences, the store doors creaked more on the fourth floor. The new you is no taboo. You grew, it's true. And at the end of those words or sentences, maybe like at the end of a breath, you go down in pitch, which is fine, like that's the structure, the intonated structure of your voice. But the problem is, as you've noticed, when you go for those lower pitches, your masculine voice knows how to do those lower pitches, right? I mean, you've talked down, la, like here, this pitch. You can do it in a fem manner, but like you also hear it used in a masculine voice. And maybe that's where your brain is like, yes, that pitch, I know how to do it. But it knows how to do it in a masculine tone, right? With darker resonance. Our goal here today was to help you get to those lower pitches and feminize them. Now, it was a bit iffy on the E3, but we fixed it pretty well. We also kind of fixed the D sharp 3 in terms of resonance, but you couldn't sustain it across a sentence, which is why I recommend that you kind of practice here on your own and see how that evolves. And then what you want to do eventually is put it all together. And then instead of having the new you is no taboo, you grew, it's true. Then you can have the new you is no taboo, you grew, it's true. And now, instead of having ooh, you're going to have ooh to like something brighter, right? All right. That's pretty much all I had to tell you for today. Best of luck with your practice. Hope to see you again in those workshops. And keep up the good work. Applause for Ganguti. You're welcome. All right, so now again, I'll switch genders and we'll go for a masculine voice. Who wants to come up on stage, train their masculine voice? Raise your hand. Okay, I see one person here. Rain, come up on stage. Come on. You can go right or left. There's stairs in both ways. Yeah. All right, awesome. Hello, Rain. Hello. Welcome. Let's get started now. 10 minutes. Okay. Are you speaking right now? I can't hear your voice if you are.
No. I've been
Okay.
My hugest problem is that I have such a high pitch. This is what I've been trying to practice while you've been showing. This is like my regular voice. I can pretty much keep it down here if I like try to, but that's like me without forcing it. This is about how low I can get it at the moment.
Okay, so like you're kind of like getting like
You are getting like darker here, so your resonance is indeed getting darker. So is that what you were referring to, like lower in terms of like getting a darker, more hollow sound?
Yeah, I wanna get like a more masculine tone because I'm almost always, being called a woman because of like my such high pitch like this. It's very
Right, yeah. I can get that. Have you tried practicing, well, I suppose you have, practicing going lower in pitch? And if so, where can
this
you...
is exactly what I was trying to do when you were like teaching the masculine. I was trying.
Okay, let's see. Then give me a slide from your highest pitch down to your lowest pitch.
My voice can get very, very high like this. This, I can get low, like, kind of like this.
okay. So yeah,
You are changing resonance, but not pitch per se. Let's try this instead. Match my pitch. Oh, careful, you're in here. Let's go. Okay, you're here. Oh, let's go. Oh. Okay. Oh, last pitch. Then let's go. Oh. Keep it up. Oh.
Oh, oh,
Oh. Oh.
oh. My voice cracks once it gets to a certain point. That's my problem.
Oh. Okay, so it cracks. What happens if you go beyond the crack? Does it just stop happening at all, or?
Oh, it sounds like kind of like cracky, like oh, that's what it sounds like.
Oh. Okay, like this, right? So let's talk about
Yeah.
this. Okay, creak. What you just did there is called creak. It's when your vocal folds are really closed and they kind of bubble air out, right? Oh. What you hear is like the few bubbles of air that escape the vocal folds. Maybe they're too closed, or they sustain too much tension, or they don't get enough air to produce, well, a fully balanced sound. So there's two ways we can go about this. We can try and take that creak and then push more air through it. Oh. To perhaps get a lower pitch. Do you want to give that a try? Let's first hone in on that low creak that you can do. Oh. Awesome. And now with that same creak, let's try and push more air through it. Oh. Okay. Now maybe let's try something different. You might notice that your creak is like this. Oh. But the creak can also change in resonance, just like you've done ah to oh, right? So we can make the creak sound a lot darker from ah to oh, right? Let's try this out. Okay, awesome. Oh. And then from there, try to tap the creak like oh, 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 oh. Try this out. Okay, and let's try and push the voice a bit more. Oh, 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 oh. To try and get a more balanced sound. Okay. So it's a bit difficult here to get the sound. Let me think. Okay, I want to try something different here. At the high pitch that we can do. So let's go. Ooh. Match my pitch here. Oh. Ooh. Okay. So here your voice, you notice, it sounds very soft. Ooh. Now let's try and make it sound a little bit thicker. Kind of like this. Ooh. Give that a try. You just went up in pitch. Oh. Okay. You did increase the intensity, but by making the vocal folds vibrate faster instead. Okay. It's a bit tricky. Maybe not vocal fold mass just yet. I think it was most promising when we were doing the creak here. Oh. But pushing more air just yields a high pitch again. Going for the darker creak, though, did yield a very dark creak. Like, oh. But you don't want to speak in a creak all the time, so... Oh. I mean, technically you could. I mean, like, I guess it's somewhat of a masculine voice in a sense, but... if you want to sound like Corpse, I don't know. Yeah.
No, I would sound like some kind of like screamo singer trying to talk.
Yeah, have you been to my latest concert? Yeah. Yeah.
I tried.
So some...
good. Was that correct?
Yeah, okay. The crack. Let's try and hone in a little bit on that. Oh, okay. Okay, let's see. I know we focus a lot on pitch here, but I want to see if we can maybe help you unlock that lower pitch, those lower pitches or that lower pitch range with maybe going a bit darker than you can already go. So let's try this out. Give me that whispered pat that cat. Pat that cat. Oh, you just go straight up dark. Okay. Pat that cat. So you do have quite some experience with it. Okay. But I want to hear it slide from your bright pat to the dark pat. Pat, 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 pat. Pat that cat. Okay, awesome. And now bridging that whisper. Pat that cat.
No, it keeps wanting to break.
What do you mean? What do you mean it breaks? No!
I don't understand.
It sounds bright to me each time I do it. It doesn't sound...
I mean, the whisper is definitely dark, but is the whisper correctly bridging into your voice? I don't know. That's a difficult part. Let's see, what if you do this without going dark? Like, pat that cat, and just do... Can you do like a proper slide? Slower. You're already in your balanced voice. We want to go step by step, right? Want to go whisper, breathy, balanced. 3 steps. Okay. 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 It is shooting back up. Okay. Oh. All right. So
My
here,
voice has a lot of problems. I'm sorry.
your voice has no problems whatsoever. Okay. How long have you been practicing your voice at, by the way?
I've been trying to get it. So this is like, I've been slowly getting deeper. So I used to be only get to about this range. I've been able to get it at least deeper like this, but it's way harder, and I have to like force my voice, and then I can go like deeper like this. But that's like forcing my voice.
There's no problem with like
going for like a darker sound, you know, and like...
Okay, so things here to take into account is that, yeah, maybe you are not predisposed for testosterone, right? And yeah, your voice does crack. Like we went like from, like mostly you speak in the 4th octave. I don't know if you like use pitch monitoring apps for this. But anyways, you, no, like, I mean, like, you have like a lot of experience with resonance, so that's really positive. Now, maybe like trying to focus a bit more on the pitch itself, and maybe trying to look into vocal weight might be interesting. You know, trying to get your voice to be really loud, because the idea is that by getting a thicker voice, you know, from to you get to involve more of the muscle mass of the voice, right? And by adding more muscle mass or vocal fold mass, you get more mass for your voice to for your vocal folds to vibrate with, which can help you later yield those lower pitches. Now, I know it might sound like not much, but even the screamo kid, you know, like those low creaks basically encourage and are what you have closest to lower pitches, right? It might sound like just creak and bubbling, not like much, but when you do those sounds, the vocal folds vibrate much slower and are much more relaxed, which is pretty much where well, lower pitches kind of are, right? So I do recommend that you practice a little bit with creaks. You don't need to speak with them. I mean, but for practice, that can be nice. But definitely do try to, like, do it a little bit to kind of like see how far you can push your range down. Okay?
All right. Thank you so much for
So-
helping.
You're very welcome. Applause for Rain! Yippee! Okay, now for the last person of the day, someone who wants to learn to feminize their voices, raise your hand if you're interested. Okay. I saw you jump very well. Okay, Pearl Astor, you've never been up on stage, yeah? Yep, okay, well then come up. Come on. All right, hello, welcome. Applause for Pearl Astra.
Hi.
Do you go by Pearl? Do you go by Astra? What do you go for? Bye.
Any, just like Pearl or Astra, it's fine.
Okay, well then, let us get started. We got 10 minutes. Let's go. Okay, first time here in this workshop, Pearl?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're completely new to all of this, like resonance, vocal
Yeah,
mass, etc. Okay, let's see. What's your range at? Can you give me a slide from your lowest pitch up to your highest pitch? Something maybe like, oh. Give it a try. Okay, you've got more than enough to have a feminine voice. Awesome. Now, question. I know this is the first time at the workshop, but do you already have like a work in progress voice to start off from, or none at all?
Well, I've really just been singing songs, and I don't know, and I've gotten this so
Sing-
far.
Okay, singing is good, but singing isn't exactly speaking. So let's get into the nitty gritty of it.
Yeah.
First of all, I want you to give me that pat that cat on a whisper. Give me a dark pat that cat, like
Pat that cat.
Pat that cat.
awesome. You actually are brighter than me here. Pat that cat. So let's really go for that dark pat that cat, like Darth Vader dark.
Pat that cat.
Pat that cat.
Awesome. And now let's take that pat really bright. Let's do it step by step.
Pat, pat, pat.
Pat. Pat.
Pat, 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 pat.
Okay, so from here, pat that cat. Okay, let's bridge into a higher pitch. So let's see. Can you match my pitch here? A little bit higher. Not exactly. But what is this pitch again? It's fine. We don't need to be precise with pitch. We just need to be high enough to hear the effects of feminization with the whisper we have done. Okay, so let's bridge into, well, from the whisper into a balanced voice. Okay? So let's give this a try. So,
Pat,
pat, pat.
Pat, pat, pat. Oh no, that's just loud.
Stay on the whisper. Let's try it again.
pat.
Pat, pat, pat.
Okay, and now say pat that cat.
Pat that cat.
Awesome. And from there, hold the whisper. Awesome. And then pat that cat.
Pat that cat.
Okay, so you went for an E3. Pat that cat. Now, those lower pitches are a bit harder to feminize. Let's go for a little bit of a higher pitch. Da da da. Match my pitch. Ah.
Ah.
Awesome. Again. Ah. Awesome. Good. I'm just trying to like solidify the behavior. Again. Ah. Awesome. Let's do a completely different pitch. Let's go low. And back up. Ah. Not quite. See, this is what I'm trying to say. A little bit higher. There you go. Okay, awesome. I need to do this so that you can like reliably go back to that pitch. Let's do it again. Yes, very good. And now we can more or less safely go from that whisper into that pitch. So, pat that cat. Give it a try. Very good. Say, pat that cat.
Pat that cat.
Very good. Okay, awesome. This sounds already really femme. Pat that cat. Now it's one monotonous sound and one very short sentence. Let's try and read a longer sentence to challenge that resonance of yours. So from that pat that cat, let's read that mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
Now careful here, that mad brat sat on that flat mat. You did go for a lower pitch and it kind of hurt your resonance there a little bit. This is why I really want us to stay monotonous at first. By staying monotonous and speaking like beep boop robot, we kind of eliminate intonation and pitch variation from the equation, making it a bit easier to focus on here the important matter at hand, resonance or vocal tract size. Okay? Let's try this again. Pat, pat, pat.
Pat, pat, pat.
Very good. Pat that cat.
Pat that cat.
Very good. Pat that cat. That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
Very good. That mad brat sat on that flat mat. The on was maybe a little bit iffy, but the rest was really good. Awesome. Now let's try to do something a bit intonated. Let's start again from that same pitch, but let's keep going up. It's gonna sound a bit strange, like a melody, like ah. So it's gonna be like that mad brat sat on that flat mat. Like a question, a really long, drawn-out question, but still a question. Give it a try.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat. Wait, I didn't say that
Awesome.
right.
That was right. That was right. That mad brat sat on that flat mat. Da 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 da. You did do the little steps higher and higher in pitch. That's very good. Let's do the opposite. We start at the same pitch we ended up on. And we go down this time. That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That mad brat sat on the flat mat.
My fear here, flat mat, a little bit too low and a bit too dark. That mad brat sat on that great flat mat, a little bit too low in pitch and kind of hinting towards a darker sound. Otherwise, very good, all right? Let's try it again. But this time you're going to stop at that and you're going to really think about how you manage to get to that like, that really bright sound. And try to do the last words, that flat mat, like trying to do them like monotonously. So kind of like that mad brat sat on that flat mat. Give that.
That mad brat sat on the flat mat.
Okay, that mad brat sat on the flat mat. Okay, we kind of let go of resonance altogether here. Let's try something different here. Try this. That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That mad brat sat on the flat mat.
Sounds great. That mad brat sat on that flat mat. And now go back into pitch. That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That mad brat sat on the flat mat.
Okay, that mad brat sat on the flat mat. Okay, you do gravitate a lot towards that F3, E3 range, but it's pretty good. Okay, now let's try and give it a more normal intonation. Let's try to do that mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That mad brat sat on the flat mat.
Careful there. That mad brat sat on the flat mat. Like we're kind of like at like C3, B2. We're really low in pitch, and whilst it's not impossible, it's not impossible to have a feminine voice at those lower pitches, but it is a little bit harder. You have to take into consideration that those lower pitches also can be produced in more masculine range, and so it's double the effort. You have to be really bright, but you also have to be really soft. This lower feminine pitched voice can very easily end up too dark, and this is the same pitch, by the way, and like give like a masculine voice, or still be bright but like have too much vocal folds mass, which gives like a kind of goblin-ish quality to the sound. Okay, now this is very encouraging. You are able to go very bright. You have had this really bright sound. That mad brat sat on that flat mat, okay? Not, intonation kind of gets you a little bit to drop your voice. You did manage to go higher in pitch, that mad brat sat on that flat mat. You were able to do it monotonously. That mad brat sat on that flat mat flawlessly. And even your first attempt, that mad brat sat on that was really good up until the last pitches. So what I would recommend is to monitor where your pitch is at. Again, I can recommend these pitch monitoring apps, whether you're on iOS or on Android. You can use these apps here. If you have Android, I recommend Vocal Pitch Monitor, typically. Just something really bare bones that allows you to see where your pitch is at, okay? And generally speaking, try to avoid speaking below E3. And so that means that if you trail down with your sentence, which you will have to do, because when we speak, we go up and down with our pitches, that mad brat sat on that flat mat. It's just that you go a little bit too far down. You don't have to stop going down. You just have to prevent yourself from going down too low. Okay? All right. That's very much what I got for you. All right. Good job, Pearl.
Right,
Best of luck with the practice. You did really well for a very first time. Good job.
Thanks.
And
Bye.
applause for Pearl. Yippee. Okay. Let's see, we're quite over time. Very sorry about this, Alistair. But the time was needed. So I won't make you wait any longer. Everyone, say goodbye to Twitch. Bye, Twitch. Thank you, Alistair, so much. Bye.